Let us now take a look at what Islam has to say about literacy. Literacy in Islam, if you look at Islamic teachings, if you look at the Holy Quran, the Hadith, the life and works of the Holy Prophet, you will see that literacy has a central place within Islamic teaching. For example, if you look at the writings of the Battle of Badr, it says, read, in the name of the Lord who has created all that exists. He has created man from a clot, a piece of thick coagulated blood. The very first word, read, and we see in our preliminary definitions of literacy that reading is the first thing we focus on. That's what the Quran says, read, which simply means the Quran is telling you to get literate. Once you are literate, you will get to the education level. But if you're not literate, you are not going to get to the education level. So this is an induction directly from the Holy Book that says, read. How many of us understand what that means for us today? For the entire country of Pakistan, how many of our people are reading? How many of our people are literate when we see that it is a basic teaching of the Islamic world? Read. And your Lord is the most generous, who has taught by the pen. He has taught man that which he knew not. Taught by the pen means what? You need to write. That's what the next thing in our literacy definition was. Reading was first, the second was writing. If you're taught by the pen, you should be able to write. So you see how the Quran brings in both reading and writing something that the Western world has taken from us, because the definition of literacy comes from the West. They've learned from us. What have we learned? Why have we lost what the Quran is trying to teach us in terms of reading and writing? It is important, it is extremely important that we understand the meaning of what the Quran says. How many of our young people, how many adults today in Pakistan are able to read and write? And we are only talking of the basics. The Quran is not saying education. The Quran is simply saying get literate. Because once you are literate, you will automatically move towards education. But if you're not literate, if you remain illiterate, your chances of getting an education are practically zero. And that is not a teaching from the Quran. And say, can you put on equal footing those who are learned with those who are not learned? Again, this is from the Quran. Can you treat these two groups of people the same? The ones that are learned and the ones that are not? No, you cannot. There's a difference. There's a stark difference. The ones who are learned are way more experienced, are way more progressive, are way higher on the social and economic ladder, while the ones that are not tend to lag behind. What do you do with these people that are lagging behind? How do you help catch them up? How do you bring them at par with the learned individuals? That's again an induction that we have from the Quran. If you can't treat the learned and the unlearned individuals the same, what do you do to get the unlearned ones to become learned individuals? That's again a duty that has been given to us. Do we understand that? What do we do as teachers? Do we understand our job? As teachers, do we understand the position the Quran has placed us in? Because what we get into our classes year after year are people, young people, students and children that are not learned. Even if they've been to 5 years of school, when they come to 6th grade, they don't know the content that's going to be taught to them in 6th grade. Are we taking that responsibility to make that generation year after year more learned? That's a duty and a responsibility that has been given to us, and it is up to us to exercise the duty and the responsibility rather than simply depending on some external factors, hoping somebody else will do the job. As teachers, it is our job. We have the job to make sure that the young people are all learned. What do the hadiths have to say? Seek knowledge even if it is in faraway China. This is what the Holy Prophet himself said. At that time, China was by far the furthest place people knew. Today, of course, there is the West. There are lots of other places where one can go to gain knowledge. A lot of our young people go to other parts of the world, to Australia and Canada and US and UK and Europe and all that, to gain knowledge. But that's very few. What about the rest? What about the ones that stay behind? What about the ones that can't afford to go out abroad because education is expensive? What does one do about that? The Holy Prophet himself said, go as far as China. In those days, today, it would be go to the ends of the world to seek knowledge and to get information. Seeking of knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim, be it a man or a woman. And this is something that we need to understand. Education is not only for the boy child, it is also for the girl child. And Islam tells us that it is incumbent on the man and the woman, both genders, to get an education. And what are we doing about it? How many of our female population are in schools, have been in schools, are going to schools today? This is something that we need to consider seriously, looking at what Islam teaches us, looking at what the Holy Prophet has to say about this, looking at what the Holy Quran and the Hadith have to say about literacy and education. It becomes incumbent on everyone in education to make sure that all young people become literate.